Thank you, everyone, for coming to join us. It's a little, some new faces, mostly people who've been here throughout the year, so we really appreciate all your business, and we appreciate you coming by. We've got some special guests, as you guys saw in the invite. We've got Jay all the way from Florida.
Hi, everyone.
Very popular YouTuber, and real pleasure to meet
Awesome,
you.
my pleasure. The pleasure's mine. It's been an incredible experience here at Next Level Hi-Fi for sure. You guys should check it out for sure. Come out and talk to this man here. It feels like it's like a family environment here, you know, and you don't get that from many other locations that I visited in the past. So
cool. And we also have Peter Hansen, who's from Audio Group Denmark. So he can answer all your technical inquiries, and tell him what we're showcasing today for the first time ever.
World premiere of the new Borresen X1s. Those that are $5,500 a pair. This is the last model in the X series. So now it's X1, X2, X3, and X6. And so that's the world debut, first pair ever in the world.
my audience wants to know, will they be, when can they see them?
They will be at the Tampa show. We will be running the X1 with the Forte one.
616.
Yeah.
In Tampa.
Okay, and when are they shipping?
Early March.
Early March. Okay, so you can place your orders now and you'll get them hopefully in early March. Okay, I expect it to be a success for the money. Look, I've heard a lot of different speakers throughout the years. You've seen it on my channel. My madness is right now in there. I have a $360,000 Wilson Audio Chronosonic, and I've never heard something that can scale as good as these do. The X1s, the detail. My wife was listening yesterday for the first time, and she thought the entire time she was listening to these. Like, her impression was like, are you kidding me? Like, these are not the ones playing. And so she fell in love with these. And it's hard to put it into words because the laws of physics don't accept that a speaker this size can scale the way this does. The height, the depth, the presentation, the detail, the imaging, it's a pinpoint accuracy. Like when you sit in that chair where you are, Paul, right now, the detail just comes to life. You don't have to crank it up loud to hear all these things that sometimes other systems struggle to put front and center. Okay, so I'm shocked. I don't know how it was done for $5,500. I'm still like trying to figure that out.
We are too.
It's and it's definitely a huge accomplishment. We don't have a lot of products for this kind of price that can do the things that these speakers are capable of. The cool thing about it is, I know many of you have seen many different loudspeaker brands, and I don't want to mention them because what happens next, I get in trouble. Okay, so I want to stay clean. But there are many brands out there that can sell you a product for $5,500. But they don't have the pedigree that Borresen has, okay? You're dealing with a high-end brand. You're seeing what they're capable of doing. And so it's kind of like you're putting your money where it should be, okay? In the past, when I started this, we didn't have this at $5,500. You would have to buy something from Best Buy, and hopefully cross your fingers that it works out for you. So the fact that these high-end brands are coming down to affordable prices, and I know some people are out there saying, how can you call that affordable, $5,500? That's ridiculous, right? But in the grand scheme of things, when you think about the ultra high-end, this is considered affordable. In this hobby, this is considered affordable. It is. That's the truth, okay? And so I'm happy to see that we're seeing more price performance propositions. We're seeing those people that could never afford a speaker like this now able to enter this arena, right? And play with everyone else who's been playing at this level. Because let me tell you, a lot of the DNA that these speakers have is the same as the bigger brothers. Like, same feeling, the same detail. Granted, the big ones will scale bigger. They'll have more punch. Instruments will feel more real. Yeah, of course it will, as it should be, because you're paying 4 times the price. But when you hear these for $5,500, I can't think of anything else. Right now, I'm actually scared of going to the Florida show and hearing them again, and then highlight the room and get accused that I'm working for Borresen. I'm being straight up. I'm telling my audience right now, and you all better hit that like button right now. Okay? Yo, please hit that like button right now. So, because that's the narrative that starts.
Yeah, well, it'll be fun for you in Florida because in room 616, we'll have these X1s. In the room next door, I think these room numbers are right, 617, we'll have the X2. So it's the one right over there.
Okay.
So you can go from one room to the next room and see what you get for a few more dollars.
See, the thing is, one big reason why I think Borresen at shows does quite well is the fact that you guys bring all your artillery. Who in here has a Borresen speaker? Anybody? Okay, so you come in. All right. I am sorry. This is what's fun about being with me, okay?
don't put my
I
comments
want
on the spot.
see this laughter. This is what makes the hobby fun. Laughing and enjoying this time, okay? Not serious minds and personalities. Let's have fun with it. So you bought which speaker? Which one did you get?
X3.
X3. Okay, so you were telling me when you walked through the door, you were telling me that you had them, and then expand on that. Tell the story. What happened with the X3s? How is it that it all came together?
Well, I had heard him a number of times. I learned about Borresen a couple of years ago at Expona. My nephew brought me in the room and heard some of these smaller speakers and just blew me away. And then continued to listen to them and decided those were the ones for me because I like the way they sound. But when I got them set up in my house, and Tyler came over and helped me out with that, I was using an old audio-visual receiver.
Okay.
And they still sounded absolutely amazing. I've since upgraded. I won't use names
Right.
of what I
Okay.
upgraded to. But yeah, they're just absolutely amazing. And what you just told me, I didn't know that those have no break-in. Because I know from my personal experience, after 200 or 300 hours, they got better
Wow.
and better. And now I don't know, 500 plus hours or something like that. But it's, that is absolutely phenomenal that those things don't even, aren't even broken in yet.
But that's not where the story ended. Tell them what happened after that. You saw what? You saw me on YouTube do what?
Oh, well, after I had already purchased the speakers, then I saw Jay here sitting at Capitol Audio Fest with his jaw just going, kind of like this. And I was just like, wow, that was like the icing on the cake.
There you go.
To hear Jay,
Awesome.
Google over him after I had already bought them. So
I was like that cherry on top, right? I made the right decision. I'm glad I bought them. No, I'm telling you, they really do sound phenomenal. And I'm happy to hear that we have a Borresen owner and that you're seeing every model. So this might be the wrong store to be in for you because
it is. It's a bad place to come.
you should just go away because you have too much. Look at all the temptation.
It's vibrating right now.
I would like to hear from someone here in the room that doesn't have a Borresen, that heard at least these X1s briefly. I know they're not broken in, that can perhaps give us, their take on what they're hearing. I think it would be a cool, thing that someone can say.
I would say, like, as soon as they came in, these were playing, and
Let me get close to you
they
so the
were-
microphone can pick you up.
originally they were playing the 6, the bigger speaker, and at some point they switched over, and I wasn't standing here, and like you said, the scale of the small speaker, at first I'm like, it's not exactly that one, but it's almost, it feels like it's that big. And they both have the same signature sound, exact same signature sound. And so any speaker in that line probably sounds, exactly the same, just more of it.
Yep.
When you get the bigger
You're
speaker.
right on that.
Real quiet background.
Yeah.
That's probably the electronics too.
That too? Yeah,
And
that's part of
then-
that.
So at first I thought they've got like a little dark sound, but then when I heard, cymbals or, anything that's a high note, that was extremely clear too. So it was kind of an interesting sound signature that I don't think I've heard before, really.
It's the ribbon planer tweeter you're hearing. Or what you're not hearing is you're not hearing the tweeter breaking up. That's what we're used to hearing, that something can be on the brighter side of things. That's a dome tweeter, for instance, breaking up. You're not gonna have this with this ribbon planer. And so it's so quiet that you are hearing it's on the warmer side of things, but when it really gets in where it needs to do,
Right.
in high frequencies, that's when it really comes to shine, yeah.
One thing I actually was asked on my live stream, is subwoofers, which I already addressed with Tyler. And I know there's always a lot of conversation from those who may want to use a sub. Put you on blast too. Any subs coming out soon? What's the plan with that? Have you talked about, the Denmark group about this?
I'm live, so I gotta be. Maybe.
I told him, maybe someday.
I will do that. I will do that on camera. I will put them on blast. They can't get out of these questions. They have to answer with me.
Maybe.
It's important because they have the same DNA, the same tonality, right? And so it's harder to blend, a speaker that doesn't have the siblings in the form of a subwoofer when you get other brands, because you may get a sub that's too large for, let's say, for these. What happens, and I've done it, and I said it already on my live stream. So if you get a sub for these, the hard part is not to buy them and pay for it. It's to blend them correctly and to make sure that you're not obscuring the detail and the resolution of the speaker, because that's easily done when you crank up the sub too much. It becomes almost like muddy sounding. That's the best term to describe. So knowing what's the perfect balance between the sub and your speaker is the key thing. And that's hard. That takes a lot of time crawling around, trying to measure your volume levels to see where you want the sub to be and to make sure that the sub is adding, not taking away, right, throughout the entire frequency range.
I've learned of the Borresen line at Exponent a few years ago, and the thing that just always strikes me about it is how lightning fast the bass is.
Yes.
And there is something truly special about the Borresen tweeter that is just so musical and just strikes that
I would
perfect
agree.
balance between detail and not being too aggressive. It's got that right balance.
I agree, and I don't want to start a whole conversation between analog and digital, okay? But we know digital tends to be, I don't care what anybody says, you sometimes are out there with a fire hose putting out fires because it's too bright, it's too tilted up. I got to put warmer cables, warmer tweeter, warmer. We have all been there. Let's not lie, okay? When you put a turntable, that's gone. That problem doesn't exist anymore. There's a reason for that, okay? Digital to me, it's naturally brighter. I don't care what anyone says. I don't need to be convinced of the opposite, okay? It is like that. But what these tweeters do is they're more forgiving. It's kind of as if they allow you to play bad recordings, digital recordings, and they make them very like pleasurable. That tweeter does something, it's almost harmonic. And other speakers will probably punish you for putting bad recordings on there. Now, when you get to the $1 million speaker, I mean, $500,000 speaker, excuse me, that's a different story, right? Because the point is that as you get up the ladder, you're supposed to aim towards more neutrality and nothing but the facts. Although it is the same tweeter, it's just much more elevated. The performance is larger, so therefore the blemishes are enhanced even more by the system. So those are things that you have to keep in mind. But I agree with your assessment of the tweeter, no doubt.
I've been following your channel for
Awesome,
a
thank
while
you.
now, and I find myself, there's so many channels that the people behind it, I don't think they're calibrated. How do you know how good is until you've heard good and you've experienced good enough to know that you hear it and you know it when you hear it? You're in my calibrated group, and that's pretty rare. So
Oh,
well
thank
done.
you. Well, thank you. It takes a hell of a lot of work and hate, you know, from there's a lot of bad comments, thick skin, elephant skin by now. But you know, it's hard to do it. YouTube. You guys don't know about YouTube. Is one of the most difficult platforms to be in. Today I'm here. You know, I'm glad that you guys came out. And we're having a beautiful time here when there are no shows right now, right? Next one is 3 weeks away, but it's a good time, especially you guys being local, just driving here 30, 40 minutes, maybe an hour, and you get to talk to me, you get to hear the system. YouTube is very ruthless, very difficult. The comments are brutal, and you always have to try to stay objective. That's the main goal of my channel, is to make sure that I just give you my opinion. I'm here saying it in front of all of you and my 23,000 subscribers. These guys don't pay me a dime. He's not paying me to come in here and basically sell you something. I'm here just to simply market the store, their beautiful operation with him and his wife. That's all I'm doing here. I want to be clear on that, okay? Transparency is key. So when I tell you this sounds amazing for $5,500, they're not putting one of these in the back of my vehicle right now for saying that.
We don't have any.
Yes, sir.
I'll carry it home for you.
Yeah. So
Those got to make it to Florida. There's no way they can go in your trunk.
yeah,
need
so
'em for the
yeah,
show.
I can take him to Florida with me. No, I'm kidding, but
Not
yes.
that Florida, the show.
Oh, the show, yeah, my home. I could see these in the future on my channel, by the way. I would definitely like to evaluate them. I think that I have to make a bigger effort of bringing more affordable stuff to the channel. Most of you have asked me to repeatedly, like, show us some options, Jay. We can all go to a $300,000 Wilson. We can't do $100,000 Griffin amplifiers. It's a lot for a lot of us, and I get it. So I am trying to make that slow transition into more affordable components. You just saw a Mula Mula Tambaki review from me, which is a $13,000 DAC, right, recently. So I'm gonna make an effort to bring you more of this, more affordable things from different brands so that I can tell you It's coming from me based on my high reference points. For the money, it is nearly unbeatable, or it is unbeatable. And now the job will be for you to get out and support the dealers and take a listen and see if it fits, if it checks your boxes, right? Because it is important. Remember, this is all subjective. I can tell you this is amazing, and maybe some of you don't agree, and that's okay, because that's part of the hobby. But if I tell you something sounds good, at least it's worth you getting out there and listening to it. Even if it's at a show, which, by the way, shows are not the perfect scenario for these things. I think it gives you an idea. It's more like a rough draft of what the sound should be like, for you to take notes and perhaps identify those diamonds in the rough, I call them, right? And then get out there and listen to these things at a dealer. That's how it should be done. Power speakers is something that I think YG is doing currently. I saw it at Munich. It was an interesting concept. I do like the idea. What I do dislike about that is you have no flexibility. So you're stuck with the sound, and it is what it is. You can't change it. You can't really change a cable. You can't change the amplifier flavor. It's what it is. And so that's the disadvantage when you buy an all-in-one box solution. You don't get to play as much, but if you're looking for like an end game per se, in one single speaker, I can see that being a good option. But it did sound good. I can see some brands, even Borresen maybe, for all we know, they might come out with something in the future that's like that. All of this inside of a speaker, that could be a possibility, right? I mean, they clearly are innovating. Tubes, so he's asking me, what do I feel about tubes? I've had tubes. I've had tube amplifiers on my channel. I've had some VAC monos that are phenomenal. I've had audio research as well. The usual suspects, okay? How do I feel about tube gear? Very harmonic, like beautiful sounding, okay? You can sit there hours and hours on end and never get fatigued. That's one thing. It's kind of like the same effect as this tweeter, okay, no doubt. But when it comes to the speed, the control of the woofers, nothing beats, in my opinion. If we're talking strictly about bass, I will say Class D has to be included because Class D is tremendous when it comes to bass control and all of that. So when it comes to that, nothing beats solid state and Class D, the bass control, the grip on the woofers, okay? Tube gear, for me, still feels loose. The bass is not the same impact. It blends all the low registers together. It doesn't really spread them apart. It doesn't really parse them out. It feels as if it's just a big conjunction of low registers rather than frequencies throughout, right? So you hear different depths of the bass. So I don't feel tubes do that. But if your intent is just to pay attention to the music and not really analyze, I think they're a great option, except of course the heat, right? If it's a big piece, they usually put out a lot of heat and noise, and then you have the buzzing sounds, and the tubes are going out, and then you got to have tubes on hand, and if you have
bias and all sorts of things.
and if you have family, yeah, so you always have to be prepared for failure with tubes, right? A tube could go out. You have family coming over to listen to the system. You turn it on. Now the tube went out. You can't play music. You got to order a tube.
How much influence does your speaker in your room, I know the room influences sound great, but do you allow for the size of your room and acoustics affect your decision on the speaker? You tap in your speaker, tailoring it to the sound of your acoustics.
So yes, I do feel that the layout of the room has a lot to do with the right speaker for a room. Not all speakers work in every room, although some speaker brands like Borresen are more flexible. That's not the case for every brand out there. In some spaces, you can't have, for example, a Martin Logan electrostatic. It won't work if it's not pulled out of the wall. If you have it against the wall, it won't image. It won't give you that depth that it needs, right? That space behind it is critical with panels. So you can't put a panel in every room. It doesn't even work for me right now in my current configuration. So you have to educate yourself for sure based on your current setup. I know he's looking for a speaker because he has a couch right next to the speaker. And when we had a consultation, he had a consultation with me, I recommended a taller speaker, right, for his application. So you have to kind of look at the room as a whole. It sucks because maybe you're a dear lover of Borresen or Magicos or Wilsons, but if your room doesn't allow it, you can't throw it in there because you're wasting your money, you're wasting your time.
Oh, I understand.
So it does influence. The room has a lot to say as far as what is the best speaker for the room. Unfortunately, we don't listen because we might be diehard fans of a particular brand and we're going to go with that until we die, not realizing that if you had been a little more flexible and listening a little more, you could have gotten the right speaker for that room that would have blown you away even more than your beloved speaker brand.